All right, we're rolling. It's Graham. I'm here with J.K. Hobson. We're in Saigon, and we're having. First of all, explain what this is, because I'm like most Americans. I've had Vietnamese, but it's usually only been pho.
Yeah.
So what is this? Oh, hold on. Let me make sure that's.
Okay.
Okay, we'll start again.
Okay.
Hey, it's Graham. We're in Saigon. I'm with J.K. Hobson, the comic who put together the show here, and I just came from the War Museum about the American. It's called the American War here, not the Vietnam War, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you took me here to some authentic Vietnamese food. I've only ever had pho, so explain what all this is, and this looks awesome.
Okay. This is it's called Bangkok, and it's a specialty from Vũng, which is a beach town about 2 hours out of Saigon. This is like one of the few places I think that has it in Saigon, but it's basically like a fried savory pancake. These have got shrimp in them, and this has got fish balls. And some of you are wondering, you didn't know fish had balls, but no, it's made of fish, silly. Yeah, and they have another outlet, another one of these places in Vũng, and they opened up one here. So
this is like a regional.
Yeah.
A regional
Yes.
Vietnamese cuisine.
And not necessarily not from Saigon, but from the south.
Right.
Like every province in
Has its
Vietnam
own.
has its own thing. Yeah, exactly. But I really like this. I think you will too. I hope so. At least.
So that's really cool. So I mean, a lot of people watch my show know I always say I'm vegan in LA. I always say vegan is a first world privilege. So I'm not going to eat fish or pork or chicken. I'm not going to do that. But I will eat some seafood. Hey, Jesus ate fish. That's my mentality.
That's right.
And then so you dip this in the fish sauce.
Yes. So you put some fish sauce here. Also, I don't know how you are with chili. I put like a little. So we got some fish sauce in here.
Okay.
And then I would take a little of this this chili, which is kind of like it's like a paste sort of. It's chili.
Okay.
You probably can't see that. And throw it in there. I don't know if you want some.
I'll try
you
some.
Just try a little bit.
So that's what it looks like. It looks crazy hot. I'm going to be honest with you. Southeast Asia does not play around with its spices
No, they don't play.
at all. Makes like a jalapeno pepper seem like vanilla yogurt.
Right. Well, that's use sparingly. So then you mix that up, and then you just kind of make a wrap. So right, you take a piece of lettuce, right, and then I'm gonna start out with one of these shrimp ones.
Okay.
And you kind of put that in the center there.
Boom.
Right. You're good with chopsticks. That helps. And then take some of this. It's like papaya and maybe carrot, and then you kind of roll a spliff. Right? Have a feeling you might be able to do that. Don't ask me why. I know you live in Santa Monica, so there's that.
I mean, I'm sober, but I've seen enough weed smoked in comedy club green rooms.
There you go.
I used to be in the room with Doug Benson.
The real green room.
Real green room.
And then you dip
Dip it in that.
and take a bite.
Oh man. That's really good.
You got some spice there. But yeah,
Oh man.
it's good stuff.
The fish sauce is somewhat a little bit sweet. I didn't realize that.
Yes, also, that might be a southern thing. So the three regions of Vietnam, being the north, the central, and the south, have kind of like their own palates.
Okay.
The north is sort of plain, natural flavors, more savory. Central is spicy. And then the south, food tends to be a little sweeter. So, yeah, you picked up on that quick.
That's good. Wow, that's really good.
You know Ron Jossel?
No. The comic?
He's in LA, yeah. Filipino comic. Friend of Dwayne Perkins. Last time I was here was with him.
Oh. I know Dwayne. Dwayne's awesome. I've known Dwayne for years. Dwayne actually, him and Paul Ogata, both of them sent me like a list of promoters in Asia. And so both those guys are very healthy, or helpful.
Yeah.
I'm drinking iced tea. So you've been here a while. I was at the War Museum today. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I guess it'll be woven in sort of this conversation. As I'm traveling the world and meeting I'm meeting comedians and people from around the world. The Vietnamese comics last night was really cool to meet and talk with them. And I'm meeting a lot of expats from all over the world, but there's I don't know if this trend has been ramped up more, but it seems like there's more Americans going by, and I've been considering it myself.
Yeah.
But what's it like? You've been here since 2016 or 17?
2016.
Okay.
In Saigon since 2017, but in Vietnam since summer of 2016.
So what brought you here? What was your first reason for coming here?
Well, the first reason for coming here was I was in university, going to UC Riverside. And my last year of university, I got hooked up with one of those study abroad programs. I won a scholarship, Gilman Scholarship, to come to Vietnam to study Vietnamese history.
Specifically study Vietnamese history?
To study Vietnamese history. Because as a global studies major, and this is something we were talking about off camera, is I started in studying American history, I noticed, this polarization that everyone was talking about, and everybody's still talking about, frankly. In tracing back the chain of causality, a lot of it started, not all of it, but a lot of it started in the 1960s, which was the Civil Rights era and the Vietnam War. And so I thought I've studied a lot about the Civil Rights era, so I was really happy about the opportunity. Like, it would be good to know, okay, we see how all of this affected the United States. Right. Since the Vietnam War, I feel like that fracturing has never healed. That polarization is the same polarization we see today. The same people that might be pro-Trump today were probably back then would have been pro-Vietnam War, anti-communism, communism being the big threat. So, but then I thought about the way that it affected the United States, but I thought, well, I wonder how it affected people over there. This is kind of very American-centric to just think about, wow, that really fucked us up, So I was really happy for the opportunity to come and study about Vietnamese history here. So I came here in 2015, and I lived in Hue in central Vietnam for 2 months studying Vietnamese history. And when I had to go back home, I just really didn't want to. I felt like my mission, so to speak, was not done here. So as soon as I went back, I applied for a Fulbright scholarship because I was graduating that year. And a few months later, I found out that I won the Fulbright, and I came back here to live in My Tho, Vietnam, which is in the Mekong Delta. I lived there for a year. And during that year, between summer 2016 and summer 2017, as we all know, the election happened. And the funny thing is, leading up to that, I'd made a lot of local friends here, and they would ask me, about how I felt about the campaign and who did I like, and I was just, I can't stand Trump. I'm a New Yorker. Most New Yorkers can't stand Trump. Like, I've known who he is for decades, and he's just pulled a fast one on a lot of people. He's just a con artist. And I would say that, and people would say, well, what will you do if he wins? They'd ask me. And joking around, I'd be like, well, you better have a couch ready for me because I'm going to sleep on your couch for the next 4 years. I ain't going nowhere, Joking around, because of course nobody thought that he actually had a chance of winning.
The Republican Party didn't think he was going to win.
Yeah, they were just like, what?
Plus that election cycle, you and I were talking a little bit about it. For me, and I think a lot of others, and it sounds like maybe you too, it wasn't just, oh my God, Trump won. It's how the Democratic Party cheated Bernie, basically. You were saying
Big time.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz was fired by the DNC
Yep.
and then hired by the Hillary campaign. So that made a lot of people go, wait, what?
Right.
Bernie
Yeah.
was polling better. Hillary did not run a good campaign. And, you know, people forget, liberals forget at least, Trump ran a populist campaign. It's right-wing populism, which is basically just fascism, but
Right.
he ran a I'm going to help the working guy campaign.
Right.
Whether
Yeah.
you agree with it or not, or don't like it, or think it's nonsense or bullshit, that is the campaign he ran on.
Yep.
And that helped him win.
Yep.
And that's what Bernie ran on actual left-wing populism. You know,
Big time.
you know, Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, Green New Deal, putting people to work. And every time the Democrats keep losing, they try to run to the right a little bit, and they abandon the working class. And Trump is not going to help the working class. I don't think so.
No.
I'd love to be wrong, but anyway,
Yeah,
I think that's
prove us
part.
wrong.
It wasn't. You're a lot of people that I've spoken to. It wasn't just that Trump one. It was the
Yeah.
whole circumstances that allowed that to happen.
Absolutely. I was a Bernie guy, and I held my nose and voted for Hillary, but that was dirty, man. It
Dirty.
was gangster, and it was so gangster the way she did it. That's what black people say, playing in our faces.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
playing like what?
No, that's just
Yeah.
me grabbing your wallet, going, "What are you doing with my money?"
Right,
And
exactly.
just knowing what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, that's like that's thugged out.
It is. It is.
I know you ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah, you.
What are you gonna do? That's what
That's
this-
my bike.
I
That's
know,
Debo. She
exactly.
Deboed America.
Exactly.
That's my bike.
I know exactly what you did.
Yeah, yeah. And then a lot of people who were Bernie went over to vote for Trump, you know, but either way, when it happened, just something, and it was something that had been building up through my whole life. The Trayvon Martin thing, that really broke me in a way. I mean, although I had seen stuff like that and I'd been the victim of police violence, but something about that particular case where it just seemed so clear to me, here is a child who got killed by this random ass dude, and then they pinned it as he was standing his ground.
Oh man.
When the cops told him to leave the kid alone, and I was at a metal show when that happened, which is a very strange place to be when a verdict like that comes through, because he's surrounded by, it's mostly white folks there. I was hanging out with my friend Lori, and the verdict came in. I saw it on my phone, and I was like, man. And we talked about it a bit, but something about that was just like, wow. America has been telling me this for a long time, but there it is.
You don't feel safe.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's the safety. I hear that from a lot of Americans of all different ethnicities.
Sure.
Obviously, you as a black man, like, I don't feel safe because they're just coming at me legally.
Yeah.
But then there's just the gun violence issue. The cops can just come and get you. I mean, America thinks we're all free and everything, but
Yeah.
the cops can just come and roll up on you
Yeah.
whenever they want.
Yeah.
Like in a communist country.
Yeah, and this whole thing, like, oh, we have guns because we want to protect ourselves in case the government becomes tyrannical. It's like, really? It's like, if they're going to get you, they're going to get you. There's no amount of guns. If they want to get you, they bombed an entire city block in Philadelphia. You know?
Yeah, dude.
So
They blew up a city block in LA 2 years ago. They blew it up.
So yeah, it is unsafe for a lot of reasons.
I mean, as part of the reason why, I was trying to leave during COVID because there was riots near me. I went to some George Floyd protests. They were all peaceful until the cops showed up, and then they got violent, and I saw chaos in the streets, and I felt it.
Yeah.
And then the people don't talk about this,
Yeah.
but I lived in Santa Monica, California, nice little beach town.
Yep.
In LA, they got the pier and the 3rd Street Promenade, and
It's lovely.
it's lovely. It's a great little beach town, man.
Yep.
It's the perfect mix of, like, you got beach, but then you're close to enough to the city, so you get both worlds. You get cool little beach vibe, but then you get big city stuff. And man, the National Guard occupied downtown Santa Monica for a week.
Wow.
And I was like, that's why I was like, I want to get out of here, and I wanted to go to Australia. That was closed. It got me to Hawaii because they have really strict gun laws. It's still America.
Yeah.
Because I was just worried about the guns. Because I'm just like, if society breaks down, then whomever's got guns is just gonna. And I felt craziness in the streets.
Yep.
I saw it. Guy came at me.
Man.
You know, I was doing this show and I was just recording because there was rioting. They smashed windows in downtown Santa Monica. And I was like, well, I'm not happy that looting happened in my town. I understand why.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people from South Central, took the train in, and I was like, I don't condone it, but I understand the frustration.
Yeah.
And Santa Monica's a white beach town with a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that resentment. They get off the train and they go, wow.
Well,
you know, we don't have a Whole Foods and an REI and Jamba Juice.
What is Whole Foods?
Yeah, exactly. They don't have that. You know, there's food deserts in LA.
Big time. Yeah.
So I understood that frustration. I was just talking about that doing my show out here, and a guy came at me, man, and I like.
Wow. Because of what you were talking about, or just came at you just because you were there?
Because of what I was talking about. He heard what I was
wow.
talking about, and I was like, look, man. Does you think this is good that they're not? I go, look. And I had a lot of friends of mine in Santa Monica, white liberals who suddenly got real conservative.
Yeah.
And I was like.
Yeah. Well, that's the classic. What is the definition of a conservative? Is a liberal who's been mugged.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then I also thought some of the people protesting were like, we're here for peace. And then, you know, there were some young brothers who were just like, fuck you.
Fuck it. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to be with the white racists.
Right.
And then I also don't want to just be, let's go get a white dude because
Right.
we're pissed.
Because it could be you.
Could be me.
You
know, and I'm just like, that feels like America's going up for grabs. And so like personal safety was like,
That's, of course, it's hard. People are going to lean towards that, you know, and this is the whole thing where sometimes that's intentional. Like
Right.
I remember I don't remember this, the DNC convention was either in 2000 or 2001 in downtown LA. Ozo Motley played and Rage Against the Machine played. And this is when I first moved to LA. Pretty sure it was 2000. Must have been 2000 because it was during the campaign. Was Bush versus Gore. And down there, music, you know, bunch of lefty people. I had some anarchist friends in town, you know, and they were crashing with me. And I was hanging out. I brought my bike. I had the forward thinking to bring my bicycle to the convention. And everything was chill. Bands were playing, you know, people's slogans and, you know, the kind of stuff that right-wing people would have called Antifa, but people were chilling and just getting together, galvanizing, trying to have their voices heard. Rage Against the Machine already played, Ozo Motley's on stage, and I'm just kind of like walking around, looking at everything, and I see a line of cops, maybe going down Figueroa, like on both sides of the street, in riot gear.
yeah, ready to go.
And they're like getting amped up, like they're like, ready for this shit. And I'm like, what are they getting ready for, you know? And something in me told me, this is, you know, that moment in the party where you're like, I think I'm staying too long. I think it's time to leave. Something's gonna happen. I started taking off on my bike. Not 2 minutes later, I see all these cop cars coming back down. And later on, when my friends came back to my apartment, they showed me all the footage of cops running over people sitting down cross-legged, running over them, hitting them over the head with batons and running over them with horses, just like, and so there's this thing of like, yes, absolutely, there are elements of people who are super angry, and there's a lot of people who are trying to have peaceful protests, but there's also, the word isn't instigators, but there are people that are planted there. I saw one clip of some dudes in masks at one of the protests just starts busting windows out. And the protesters are like, stop doing that, because this is gonna make this whole thing look really bad. So, provocateurs, that's the word.
Yeah. And I think they like want us all fighting with each other.
Yeah.
So now, having that, you've been here now a while. You live here, you're married, you have a kid, you're running comedy shows. What is it like now, 7, 8 years later, Biden won, now Biden lost, you know, like Trump's back. Like, and what's it like for you going back to the States? What's it like for you? Because like, this is your home, this is where you're raising your family.
Yeah.
What do you feel like now, even all these years removed? Do you feel less American? Do you feel like, what?
You know those like pictures when they first invented the atomic bomb, and they would have pictures of generals like a very comfortable, safe distance away, looking through binoculars with cars like, man, that looks terrible. Huh. There's a little bit of that. I mean, I don't know if I feel less American, because part of being American is the ability to say, that's not right.
Yep.
You know, that's part of what comes with the freedom.
Right.
Is the freedom of dissent and the freedom to think differently. So far, right now, you know, that's the idea.
I've been censored by Republicans, by Democrats. It doesn't matter. Like, to me, that's why I'm like, the whole system's broken. I'm just like, they all censor one form or another.
Yeah.
But you as somebody too, you know, it should be noted, your wife is not American. Your wife's of mixed descent. Your parents are immigrants, right? To this.
My mom's Puerto Rican. We're both Puerto Rican, so Puerto Rico's part of the United States.
Right.
It's not a state, but we're born with United States citizenship.
Okay.
My grandparents on my dad's side were from Jamaica.
Jamaica, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so that side is we were immigrants.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does it feel now? Like, I mean, and you know, you're doing, the thing I've noticed about every expat community anywhere in the world, it's everybody. It's people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And when you're doing comedy, there's obviously a lot of Americans there, and there's always Aussies and Brits because stand-up comedy is a part of their countries as well. Mm-hmm. And then you always get like the local people who are like, this is sort of this new thing, or like it's taking off in Russia, and there's all these Russian shows and stuff.
Yep.
So as somebody who's putting together shows to the expat community, what are you feeling? What do you feel about, I mean, I know you commented like you're that general from the distance, but what, are you just like, hey, best of luck, man, like it's done, you guys, you know, get out while you can, or what do you?
There's a lot of that, but it's hard. I have this thing where you don't want to say I told you so, but there's a certain kind of satisfaction, and that's not good. It's not good. But I would be lying if it wasn't there, because this is the exact reason why I don't live there. Seen it coming a long time. We were talking about it last night. Like every Aliens movie, it's Sigourney Weaver being like, you know, don't do that. Let's go to space and nuke it from there. You know, like you know, they should have that be at the ending of the movie where she's just like, I told she's like flying off with the cat. I tried to tell you, man. Jonesy, I tried to tell these, you know, but okay, they fuck around, you know. But at the same time, there's so many people that didn't ask for that. Way more than half the population didn't ask for that.
Right.
You know, so that's hard, and it's hard to watch. But I don't feel like there's anything I could do about that from there.
Right.
Because there I would be like, just worried about basic needs, probably living hand to mouth.
Yep.
You know, figuring out how I'm gonna buy a dozen eggs, and you know, keeping people impoverished is a kind of weaponry.
It's a tactic. It's an absolute tactic.
Yeah.
If you're poor and you're barely getting by, you don't have time to protest.
Good win.
Now, throughout history, the ruling class always get too arrogant, and they feel like we can push these people forever, and then they push them too far.
Right.
People are like, I'm so hungry, I can't feed my family. Now I'm picking up a rock or an axe or a stick or a gun, and we're coming at you. We're gonna burn the castle down because I'm hungry.
Right. But the thing is, like, kind of unique about the United States, I don't know if it's unique, but like they give you just enough, so you're not building, you know, high-tech guillotines. You know, oh, you got internet, you got Wi-Fi, you got phones, and the phones is just like, that's just another level of numbness, and I think it just takes a lot of the ability for people to act. I think, but that's a whole thing about technology.
And then that's always like, what talk about? Then they got all these, it's Super Bowl, March Madness.
That's
you know,
right.
there's always something. The Oscars. You know, there's always some Brendan Circuses that they keep everybody like, just look over here, man.
Yeah. Patrice O'Neill had that bit about how many years do you think it's going to be before 9/11 is like one of those shopping holidays where you'd be like, on 9/11, TJ Maxx having specials on Buster Brown shoes. I don't know, they even have Buster Brown shoes anymore.
I always said, man, Americans aren't going to get up and protest en masse until they shut down the Super Bowl.
Man, that'll be.
There's no Super Bowl today
right.
because we're out of money or the climate change is shut down. The dome can't or something.
Yeah.
That's when Americans are going to go, what
sure,
the fuck's going
sure.
on?
Or maybe put Kendrick Lamar on a second time. Like 2 years in a row, people will lose their shit. Who is this guy?
Who is this guy? What the fuck is he doing?
You saw him last year. Why are you so? You know who he is now. No, we don't. We don't like it.
Saying too much.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you could ever go back to the States, or are you done?
It's looking less and less. I don't know what y'all gonna do with that. I can't even. I don't see what the exit. I don't know what the way back is from here. I would love to imagine that I'd be able to do that, but I can't. I mean, so this is some context. I grew up in New York City and I lived in Los Angeles. So I'm not from real America, you know what I mean? I have a certain standards of like sort of what is behavior, what kind of behavior I'll accept. When I was in a band for years and all of a sudden I started touring the entirety of the United States and going down south and just like, you know, it's funny, a lot of Southern blacks have this thing, they'll be like, you know, Northern black folks don't understand that we suffer from racism too. It's just different. And we do understand that, but the way they put it is that, you know, well, at least down here in the South, white people call you nigga to your face, you know? Yeah. I don't know that I prefer that. I don't want to deal with that on a day-to-day basis. You can lie to me. I might even know that you're lying to me, but on the front end, we have to have a certain amount of civility to be able to interact. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of used to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking a little bit about it last night. I'm in this dilemma because a couple years ago I had this thing of like I got to get out of the country. Yeah. I can't be here. I was like, I do not want to be in America by November 24. I was like, because I thought no matter, I knew Joe Biden, they'd make him step down and they'd just ram Kamala down our throats. I knew that from the minute, because I follow politics a lot, you know, and I used to do, I mean, I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to live stream 4 or 5 days a week, and I followed the 2020, you know, primary.
Wow.
And Kamala has never won a primary. She dropped out. And I was like, they're going to force her down our throats.
Yeah. Was it after the debate that you started thinking that, or was it before that?
Well, this was in 2020. This was when Tulsi Gabbard kicked her ass in the first debate in 2019 and said, what about all those black people you put behind bars?
Right.
Who are you?
Yeah,
you know? And she dropped. So people forget, Kamala dropped out before the very first primary, which is the Nevada caucus. She dropped out. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden was in third place. He was a joke. And then they tilted it against Bernie. Bernie was beating Trump in head-to-head polls on Fox News.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how you know.
Let's put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Fox viewers would like, I ain't voting for any Democrat, any way, shape, or form. But Bernie, he ain't one of them.
Man.
So the Democratic Party saw that, went nope, and got rid of him. And the two most, I always say follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. That's how you. So the two candidates in the 2020 Democratic primary that received the most money from billionaires, Biden and Harris.
Yep.
And oh, what a shocker, they end up in the White House.
Yep.
And I was like, Joe Biden's health, he showed dementia 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I said, he ain't gonna make it.
Right.
And they forced him out, and then they just jammed her down her throat. So I thought, whoever wins, it's gonna be really close, and the other side's gonna say they cheated. Because that's what the Democrats said in 2016.
Yeah.
That's what Trump said in 2020.
And that's what a lot of people say in 2024 also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a cheat. It's gonna be a cheat. It's gonna, and I was like, we're gonna have civil war. I did not predict Trump beating her handily. I didn't predict her losing all 7 swing states.
Right.
But she ran a horrible campaign.
Horrible. And it was also too short. Joe Biden should have bowed out. It's not all his fault, but he waited way too
Way too
long
long.
to get out.
Should have
You
dropped
know?
out in the spring. Let him have a real primary.
Yep.
But
But Bernie come back, who, by the way, Bernie's holding up very nicely.
I know.
For an old guy, he hasn't changed at all.
he's the same dude.
But, you know, just like, I guess that's something to say when you live by your moral core.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wish he would fight the Democrats a little more. He
Yeah.
keeps capitulating to
He
them.
does, that's true.
That's my
true.
own. But
Yeah.
so my point here is like, I'm in this quandary of what to do with my life. I don't know, because I work in the entertainment industry. I've got film and TV projects I'm pitching. I'm in the Producers Guild, which is big. I shot this pilot, but then I'm like, my country's collapsing, and I don't know if it's going to just like hard-nosed collapse, or it's going to do what Rome took 80 years to collapse.
Like, how old am I?
I mean,
Yeah, I'm 48, man. I'm
Yeah, I can-
132, man. That ain't gonna happen.
Can I just ride out the next 20 years and make some decent money in the States and tour and have fun and do some TV shows?
Yeah.
Or is it going to go belly up, tomorrow?
But what's that joke also? It's the guy, he works at the circus and he's got to like shovel clown, elephant shit all the time, and then they don't have a shovel anymore. He's got to do it with his hands. He's working there every day. And then finally, one of the other people does this, like, man, that's pathetic. Like, don't you want to stop doing that? He's like, what, quit show business?
I know. Maybe I need to just accept that this relationship is over. I don't know. But
You mean with you in the United States?
Yeah, me in the United States. But I got to be honest, and we talked about this last night. I was ready to leave LA and everything, but the fires,
Yeah.
I felt this kinship, like I got to help out and everyone working together, and I'm a Red Cross volunteer, and I want to help. Friends of mine lost their homes, lost their businesses. I didn't, thankfully, but I have a little survivor's guilt maybe,
Yeah, I know that one.
that I'm like, maybe I need to stay in LA and help. I don't know, but
I'm glad you're there, man. Like, I listened to your comedy yesterday, and we've been talking yesterday and today, and I believe we need people like you there. Especially, in comedy. Comedy's very strange these days also,
God, it's so strange. It's so strange.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Well, let me ask, we'll wrap up with this stuff. So, do you have any, you just mentioned a little bit, do you have any survivor's guilt living here?
Yeah, survivor's guilt. I left New York in year 2000. 9/11 happened the next year, and talking about friends moving to the right.
Yeah.
A lot of that happened. People I went to high school with that became, pretty radicalized right-wing wise, because of that. But I wasn't there, so I still kind of feel the way I feel about what could have caused those things. But anyway, so I have survivor's guilt because of that. I happened to be in New York when the Trayvon Martin verdict came out, and Patrisse Cullors, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, a friend of mine, with a group of people took to the 10 freeway and shut it down in protest. That night was the birth of Black Lives Matter movement. Side note, it's funny how nobody's talking about Antifa anymore. Nobody's afraid of Antifa anymore.
I know.
Nobody's critical race theory. There's always some new shit to be afraid of, But I was in New York when that happened, and then I came to Vietnam when Trump got elected. So I'm familiar with this survivor's guilt feeling. But I remember when 9/11 happened, and I remember wanting to go home and just be with my friends and my family, and they were just like, "Don't come back here. It's miserable. There's nothing you're gonna do but be buried under ash with us. Just do what you're doing where you are." And I was doing band stuff at the time, and the album my band came out with was reflective of the way that we felt about all these things. So yeah, I do feel survivor's guilt, but at the same time, I need to channel. Guilt is in Buddhism, it's kind of a limiting emotion because it doesn't lead you towards any kind of action. Neither does blame. So what do you do with that feeling? You know, and I'm trying to do it here with, you know, I teach social studies and trying to encourage young people to be empathetic and curious and
you're bringing comedy to a place like
and there's
you're
comedy
making
too.
people laugh. You're bringing out shows, man, and
Yeah,
you're raising a child. You're gonna
yeah, you know. So I'm trying to take action in my own way, you know. But it is really tough to watch what's going on from over here.
Yeah.
You know, and I just hope I hope everything will be okay.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us and taking me. This food is awesome, and I love having these conversations and just hearing. I don't know. I might move here, or I might be in LA.
Come through, man. You'll always have a stage as long as I'm here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. It was really cool. The show last night was really cool, and I love seeing these young local comics out there working it. Like, it's pretty rad to see.
Yeah.
You know, I started when I was 18, and I remember that, like,
wow,
wide-eyedness of this. So
yeah, it's exciting.
cool.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, do all that.